Okay, let's roll into our afternoon driver media availability here at Dover International Speedway. And joining us now is Ryan Newman. He drives the number 39 U.S. Army ROTC Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. He comes into Dover 11th in points. And Ryan, talk about your outlook for this weekend here at the Monster Mile.
Well, I wish we could be more positive about our event and weekend at New Hampshire. Yeah, it was good on Friday, but we had a miserable day on Sunday and ended up losing a right front tire, I think, with 4 or 5 to go, and that took us from 9th to 25th, which I think was the equivalent of basically 5th in points to 11th. So disappointed about that, but feel like we had a decent practice. We've got some work to do on the U.S. Army Chevrolet to make it a little bit happier, both in race trim and qualifying trim, and we still have the time to do that. So we'll proceed and see if we can make some improvements.
All right, we'll take questions now for Ryan Newman. If you have one, raise your hand. We have a couple of wireless mics out in the audience. We just need to see your hand and state your name and your affiliation, please. Go ahead. Who's got a question? Questions for Ryan? Anybody? Claire's got one, and then we'll go to Kenny. Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Talking about this racetrack and how precarious it is, because obviously
What's precarious mean?
I've seen. That's why no one raised their hand, right? No kidding. You know, it's a racetrack that will lure you in, and then especially for
sexy. Then it's a sexy racetrack.
Yeah, it is sort of,
okay.
And the high banks, you know. But a monster of a sexy track, right? And that
you like them that way.
But talk about how precarious this track is for the chasers or not. I mean, like Jimmy Johnson has said, he's had times when he thought that he was really going to crash or he was able to save it. So put in perspective how much you guys are lured in by it when a crash exists on the bank.
Well, you're talking about two different things. The first, did you know that? The first thing, the banking, allows you to push the car really hard, and therefore it makes it a little bit easier to save it, whereas a flat track, it's like on ice. Once you start to lose it, it's gone. So there is some forgiveness in the racetrack because of the banking, but it does taunt you a little bit to make you push the race car. The second part of it is a miniature Talladega of sorts because the speeds are so fast, it's narrow, it does clean itself to the bottom, but it's a timing event, depending on where the crash happens. If it's the middle of the back straightaway or going into the corner, everybody's going to wash back up or across the racetrack and then come back down across the racetrack in front of your nose typically. So we've seen 20-car pileups here into Turn 3. We've seen cars upside down and some unexpected things. In the past few years here at Dover compared to what it kind of used to be. It also has the potential to be a bit of a laid back, relaxed, drawn out race because if you get the car single filed out and everything is going good and we don't have any tire issues, then typically it can be one of those goes by really quick and not much happens.
Okay, let's go to Kenny Bruce and then all the way to the back to Marty Smith and then to Randy. Go ahead, Kenny.
Bruce with SceneDaily.com. Ryan, a lot of times drivers will talk about being fast off the truck. Given where you guys were in that first practice, how much work is ahead of you as you all go into the second practice, and then you qualify tomorrow with no practice after that?
We're changing a lot of things right now with the car, things that we've tried in the past that have worked here, and the car's changed a good bit with the nose and the splitter and those types of things. And this is a track that's pretty sensitive to that, but we're in a position where we feel like we need to make some bigger changes. We've got the notes from what we've done in the past. We've got the notes from what the Hendrick cars are at, and obviously the 14. But we feel like we need to make some changes to make some improvements, not just for the short run, but for the long run as well.
Let's go to Marty and then to Randy and then to Brian. Go ahead.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Ryan, on paper, it looks like the 14 came out of nowhere. They're sort of running in the back in the middle earlier in the year, and now they've won 2 straight races. But you meet with Tony and Darian every weekend. You're in the shop. You see what's going on. I'm curious about your perspective about it. Did they kind of come out of nowhere? Was there a light switch situation that you've seen type of deal?
They struggled really hard there 4 or 5 races to go in, before the chase started, and I think they regrouped really strong. I won't say the first 2 races, they were on the right situation. I will say that in the first two races they were on the right side of the equation when it came to fuel mileage. They were within a lap or a lap and a half in some cases of taking both of those firsts to 21sts. So and that's not luck necessarily, but that's marginal. So it's not like they're going out there and dominating the race. I think Stewart led 2 laps at New Hampshire, which is totally not typical for him. But I think that they've regrouped well as a team, and honestly, we haven't sat down since before Chicago to talk about where they're at, where we're at. Chicago with the rain delay, we didn't have our team meeting, and then last week, we didn't all get together, so it didn't present itself to do so for all of us because of our schedules. But and my point is I don't know that there's any magic there, but it sure looks like it on paper, as you said.
Let's go Randy, and then we'll go to Brian. Go ahead, Randy.
Randy Covert from Kansas City. To follow up on the 14, it's been a long time since a owner-driver has won a championship. I know it's early, but can you kind of just talk about Tony and how does he squeeze 48 hours in the 24 days? And just what goes into him managing a company and maybe winning a championship?
We're actually doing the paperwork right now. I'm buying him out, so he's not an owner-driver anymore. And he won't have that jinx for the next 8 races. No, in all seriousness, they're doing a good job, and he's co-owner driver, but in the end, the organization is doing a really good job, and he's been there to capitalize on some other people's misfortunes. So and he's run strong. He's ran good at Chicago, and he ran okay at New Hampshire. I don't think he was entirely proud of. He always used to be the guy that raised hell when it came to fuel mileage races and staying out on old tires and those types of things. But when you're standing in victory lane, it doesn't matter. So, they've done a good job.
Let me just follow that. Do you think his time, once he's in the seat and he's on the track, is kind of welcome relief from the sponsorship issues and financial issues and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, but I think there was a sense of relief for that because that's something that was big for us. It was big for for our organization to get Mobil 1 as a sponsor, and then for them to get Victory Lane. This year that was important to the sponsor. That was important to Tony, obviously, and to carry on his streak of seasons with a win and those types of things. So yeah, that's a relief, but that doesn't mean you go into the next race saying that we did it last week, we can do it again, because it's a totally different race car, different track, and everything else.
Relief isn't the right word. I mean, just kind of.
Well, you said it.
Well, Just kind of clear his mind and just.
I don't think Tony Stewart's ever got a clear mind.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, raise your hand there, Brian. Thank you.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Ryan, you said that it's kind of frustrating that your team is run better than the results have shown in the last couple of races. Can you talk a little bit about just how random luck affects you and things that are outside of your control, like a tire going down, putting you the difference between 5th and 11th in points? I mean, how do you deal with that and pick up and move on?
The same way Tony Stewart has. I mean, if we would have had if we had not run out of fuel at Chicago, and if we had not blown a tire at with 5 to go at Loudon, we probably would be 1-2 in points right now. But I think as much of he's had the fortunate side of the luck, we've had the unfortunate side of the luck, running out of fuel when he had the fuel to get to the end. He didn't blow a tire, we did. Those types of things. It's just it's a cycle. It's part of what we do, and some things you're in control of. The fuel mileage thing we are in control of as a team. From my standpoint as a driver, from the guy's standpoint, getting the car packed full of fuel, having the fuel mileage right with the carburetor and everything else. That's something we're in control of. The tire issue, I'm not really sure how much we're in control of that, but in the end, I feel like we've run good. We should be top 2 or 3 right now in points, coming from 7th when we started. So I got to keep the positive side of things, but you still also have to sit there and say, man, this is not good. We need to turn the corner here.
Do you come into this weekend's race kind of feeling relieved that the expectation is it won't be a fuel mileage event?
I don't care what anybody's expectations are. The cars still carry fuel, and we might have a fuel situation, we might not. And even if it's not at the end of the race, it might be in the middle of the race. Who knows?
Any other questions for Ryan? Back in the back, go ahead there.
Jeff Schaefer, NASCAR Media Group. looking forward to the next 2 races. They're both mile-and-a-half tracks. Can you take us through both mile-and-a-half tracks, the next 2 races?
You're looking forward to them?
Are you looking forward to them? And can you tell us the difference between Charlotte and Kansas?
Kansas is quite a bit different with the asphalt seams, or the seams in the asphalt, I guess you could say. The way we have to straddle them and work them, and the cars can be pretty sensitive there. Charlotte's a totally different animal with the banking and the speed and the tire combination that we have at that racetrack. So yeah, I look forward to both of them. We had a decent car in Kansas in the first race and never got track position, and the improvements that we had in the car and the team in Chicago, I look forward to going back to a mile-and-a-half racetrack, because that had been one of our weaknesses, and I feel like it's one of our strengths right now.
Let's go to raise your hand there, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Have you left any dead weight anywhere along the circuit this season?
Say that one more time.
Have you left any dead weight anywhere?
Left any dead weight? I don't know. I don't know exactly how to answer that. Other than no, I don't think so.
Any other questions for Ryan? Ryan, thanks for coming in, and good luck to you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you.